to you by Pfizer.
In this video, you're going to see the future.
U.S. Treasury is higher.
Breaking news. We've got a livestock there.
Hello, you Awakening Wonders. Thanks for joining me today for Stay Free with Russell Brand. We are live. We're waiting for the announcement of a new pope. White smoke, black smoke, orange smoke, could be any one of the papal colours. We're going to be talking about an unexpected and unanticipated potential route to Armageddon. Here we were thinking that the Middle East would surely provide us with global detonation, or if not that, the last of the superpowers battling it out. Ukraine v. Russia in a proxy war that could lead to Armageddon? Or will it be China in a desperate bid to attain total control over semiconductors? No, we forgot about India, Pakistan, still the chaos left behind by the British Empire in the clumsy division of that territory. Does Britain have a history? Let me know in the comments and chat. For messing up borders and messing up territories, you can let me know. Rugdu says, you crazy wanker, in the Rumble chat, and that is why you want to make your way there. Thank you, Tim Cast, for the raid. Remember, if you get Rumble Premium, you don't just get additional content from me and Crowder, you get additional content from Glenn Greenwald, legit old school journalist. Rumble is the home of free speech, so if you're watching this on X or YouTube or anywhere else, eventually, we would humbly invite you to join us on Rumble, our home, where we are guaranteed that we can speak freely. And frankly, that's the reason that I'm still here after some considerable, and let's face it, literal trials. This is what's going on regular news media.
Back out, so we finished the first episode.
Russell, they're called buttons, says Martuso59. I know what a buttons are. I know how to work a buttons, but that's actual news, right? So look, here's me making no pretenses of being a legitimate journalist, merely a conduit for my own intuition and interpretation of global events based on an inbuilt sense that you can't trust human authority, recently reified by my understanding of the power of Christ Jesus. There's no reason for me to do my shirt up. This is actual normal news. Look how they're carrying on.
It's a wrap. I need a drink. I need a drink. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. And we gonna eat. We gonna drink. We gonna party. We gonna eat. We gonna drink.
I don't mind it really. It's nice that they're having a laugh. It's a bit of fun. Hey, the Houthis. Do you want me to do up buttons? It's up to you. Let me know in the comments and chat. If you want it open, nips. If you want it closed, say I don't know really. What's a good thing to partner nips? Like or hail the new pope. I don't know. Nips or just cover your nipples. It's undignified. It's up to you. A lot of people, they're not nogs, central screwdriver. I don't like the sort of, that's too adjacent to racial slurs. Let's get into the Houthis. The Houthis have quit.
We had some very good news last night. The Houthis have announced that they are not, or they've announced to us at least, that they don't want to fight anymore. They just don't want to fight. And we will honor that. And we will stop the bombings, and they have capitulated. But more importantly, we will take their word. They say they will not be blowing up ships anymore, and that's what the purpose of what we were doing. So that's just news. We just found out about that. So.
That's good news for everyone. The Houthis are over. I've done my shirt up. Seems to be. Some people are saying nips. Some of my friends over on locals like Thomas Beard, Jude Syke, Janice Six. A lot of people want the nips. I am wearing pants. Of course I'm wearing pants. Look at these little guys. There it all is. It's all happening. Everything's under total and complete control. We're going to be talking about updates from the Vatican, real-life conclaves. It's not just a movie. We'll be talking about India versus Pakistan, the nature of ceremony when it comes to global power and the very real risk any moment. I suppose it's like in your own personal life, you might have myriad concerns. Oh, I don't want to eat Fruit Loops no more, even if it don't have red 49. I hope my kids are getting on okay at school. Then suddenly something devastating will happen. A loved one will die, and you have to reset. That might be how it is if India and Pakistan manage to sort of go at the very top of the pops when it comes to Armageddon induction. We're going to be talking about that in a little minute. A few sad stories. Like over in the UK now, it seems that child abuse has been handled weird. There's no inquiry into them rape gangs. They simply won't do one. And furthermore, it's recently a decision to compensate child abuse victims has recently been reversed. Not so in your great country. Pam Bondi says the FBI is reviewing the Epstein files, thousands of hours of video, but of him with child sex scenarios, looking at child porn. Let me know in the comments and chat who you think's going to crop up in those videos. I'll read out the ones that you say the most.
James Comer said yesterday that all the Epstein files are missing. Can you confirm the status of them? I still haven't heard from you.
No, the FBI, they're reviewing, there are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn. And there are hundreds of
who videos themselves watching porn? I mean, how many layers to the perversion are there? Bill Clinton's coming up a lot. How many layers to the perversion are there? Like, not only porn, child porn. And not only that, film myself. That is an indication of the presence of Satan on earth. If you pay enough attention to many cultural artifacts, you'll see that it's trying to lead you into self-centered fear, selfishness, mad, hopeless, foolish desire, the reification, elification, and worship of the lower instincts. That's what Baal and Moloch and all them false idols of the Old Testament are about. Engraving images and worshipping, for example, sex or human might. Got to bring down. Whoa, oh, Bill Gates, yeah. Not Epstein. Of course he's going to be in them. Of course he's in there. There is videos. He's the star of the show.
Hundreds of victims, and no one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume, and that's what they're going through right now. The FBI is diligently going through that. I haven't seen that statement, but I'll call him later and find out.
Martin seems to be facing a very
interesting stuff. Kash Patel, head of the FBI, is talking about it as well.
Our children. If you harm our children, you will be given no sanctuary. There is no place we will not come to hunt you down. There is no place we will not look for you. And there is no cage we will not put you in should you do harm to our children.
So probably go to the UK, because there's no inquiry into rape gangs and no compensation for child abuse victims. Let me know what you think about that in the comments and the chat. If you're not on Rumble yet, get on Rumble now where we can speak freely. Is Alex Jones streaming on X? Of course he is. When isn't he? Now, let's get straight into India versus Pakistan. It's an extraordinary story, and as a Brit, something that I have to recognise that my nation and our colonial past is invested in. The hastily divided nation was an attempt to create a homeland for Muslims as well as Hindus and Sikhs, the people, Bangladesh. I mean, it was just a chaotic and disorganised bordering of new nations, and always an opportunity, of course, to reflect on the fact that nations are themselves constructs, agreements. And many people who are cynical and skeptical about our risen Saviour, Son of the living God, Jesus Christ, will happily worship a country or a pound note or a dollar bill, sometimes cartoon characters, or their own sexuality, or dressing up as furries or fluffies, or whatever trend has taken hold that particular week. When you watch the pageantry of India and Pakistan, in particular the border meeting, which I guess takes place somewhere around Kashmir, an oft-disputed region that I imagine is at the heart of this latest escalation in tensions, it's an opportunity to see the patent absurdity of all tribalism, of all attempts to make claims of nation other than the one true nation. Let's get into it together. First of all, did you know that it kind of looks like this? I mean, I'm not like ridiculing it. Our own cultures are full of stuff. Trump's going to have a military parade, right? We do change in the guard in Britain. It's not like sort of a racial or Orientalist judgment. It's just, isn't it absurd? Check it out. It gets really intense now. The first bit is just like, like sort of, I watched that Army and Navy football game. That's intense. It's got sort of loads of pageantry in it. The Super Bowl's got pageantry in it. Football events, international and national, have pageantry and fireworks and all kinds of stuff. But watch now when it's one-on-one. That's when it looks proper mad. There's some serious high kicks in there that would have Adolf Hitler stroking his moustache in appreciation. Admittedly, there's a handshake, but it's an angry handshake, isn't it? It's a sort of a handshake, but it's like a fuck you. It's like a handshake. It's not a good faith handshake, is it? It's very much a UFC, PFL, spat before the bout type of handshake. A bit like a Lady Gaga video. I suppose other people's pageantry looks peculiar, but our own pageantry we become inured and inoculated to. But the fact is on the other side of this ceremony are very real religious and territorial tensions that could escalate into a nuclear war. So before you get too much into like thinking, whoa, they look cool, like or Vix Nicks in the chat, I wouldn't want to fuck with a rocket. Good point. They would high kick you right out of there, wouldn't they? All the way up and down Broadway. I have my butt kicked by a rocket, baby. Now, though, let's have a look at the story that's behind this. And, it's not good, man. There's missiles being launched and stuff. It's actually quite serious.
Welcome to The Brief. I'm Jim Sciutto in New York. We begin early today with breaking news. India launching a military operation targeting what it calls terrorist infrastructure inside Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir. The sounds of explosions during those strikes. India says it struck 9 targets, adding that none of them are Pakistani military facilities. A Pakistani military spokesperson says the country will respond to those attacks, adding that at least 3 people have been killed in the Indian strikes. This comes after gunmen killed 26 people in Indian-administered Kashmir last month. India blamed Pakistan for those attacks. Nick Robertson is live now in Islamabad, and it's worth reminding our viewers that these are 2 nuclear-armed nations that have fired at each other before. Tell us what the situation is now and concerns about escalation now.
There's a real concern about escalation.
Lord Giggleshaw asks, where's Gandhi in all this? Well, curiously, Gandhi's great dream was that you would have a united India of Muslims and Hindus living and governing one nation together, along with Sikhs. It was he that wanted the departure of the British to be ceremonial and peaceful. When you see Nehru's first speech as the appointed and anointed leader of India, it's notable that he gives the speech in English. So where is power really? In many ways, looking at the imperialist past of the British, we can learn a lot about our current power dynamics. It becomes more obvious because there are racial and linguistic differences that make it easier for us to recognize the kind of distinctions that these days are obfuscated by the fact that we all hide under veils of cultural diversity, multiculturalism, religious pluralism. But the fact is that there are institutions that ran India when it was a part of the British Empire that are comparable to the institutions that run perhaps your country and indeed the world these days, somewhat clandestine, claiming primarily to help you, reducing you, the subjugated class of people, to the status of children, and not in a come to me little children type way, infantilized and controlled. What we need to recover is the type of innocence that means that the scope of our conscious awareness is vast and that we're able to separate the chaff from the wheat when we're given information. Continually, of course, we have to be aware of the fact that we live in a hot and volatile world and that there could be nuclear conflicts between countries like India and Pakistan, that the situation between Ukraine and Russia could escalate further, the ongoing atrocities in the Middle East might lead to brutality on that significant, important, in some ways centrifugal region when it comes to global political power dynamics. How do we do anything about that? It's interesting, isn't it? Sometimes you might think, well, we got our guy in office. That might be Donald Trump, or it might be Mark Carney. You might think that you have someone in there fighting for you, and if you're an American nationalist in many, many ways, of course you do. Is a return to America first politics, and while the detractors of Trump will say that he facilitates the interests of a plutocratic class of oligarchs, many will also say that guy was what was required to end the rampant imperialist march to a type of globalism that's way beyond anything the British Empire or even American Empire could achieve, because it's insidious and it's invisible. What we have to do is recognize the fact that we are creatures, that we are not capable or able to establish our own principles and safely live by them. In the end, fallen as we are, we lapse into self-interest, despair, lust, many, many sins, many, many failings at the level of the institution or nations, which we've just recognized are themselves constructs. So if we are going to create a nation, let us create it in God's image, according to God's will, according to God's principles. Then perhaps we will have a golden city, a new Jerusalem, in which we can live in some kind of peace. Elsewise, we're forced to live out the legacies of the last century, all of its chaos and clumsiness. In this instance, probably India and Pakistan are still fighting to resolve issues they inherited from the clumsy bureaucracy that preceded their apparent power, i.e. the clumsiness of the British. But that's just what I think. Why don't you let me know what you think in the comments and the chat if you're watching us on X or YouTube or any of them places. Come join us, baby. That's theocracy. No, it's not theocracy. It's not theocracy. It's the perfect freedom that's available in surrender to God. You are not choosing whether or not you worship. You are choosing what you worship. You will worship. You're worshipping right now through the lens of yourself, if you would but see it, living in the continual service of sets of bigotries, prejudices, programming and codes that you might not even know you're responding to. The only way you can awaken is to seek thee first the kingdom of God, which is available to you in your own consciousness right now. And when you have that, when you know that the Lord is in the boat with you, you will weather any storm, and you may yet walk upon water if you keep your eyes focused on him. But that's just what I think. Tell me what you think, you guys. It's happening, baby. It's all happening. You lot in locals, January 6, Boopsy, I'm loving you. Communist YouTube. Russ, cover up your naked arrogance. It's embarrassing and distracting. I don't know which bits you want. I mean, what would is this it? Is this what you require? What do you need from me? Tell me how I can be of service to you, you beautiful bastards. We got so much more to talk about. Mark Carney, Carnival, Carnivore. Carney used to work at the Bank of England and the Bank of Canada, elevated to the top of Canadian politics, had a meeting with Trump. Let me know in the comments and chat if you think that he will match his pugnacious and pugilistic stance that he was making when he was made head of Canada, leader of Canada last week. Now, when he's up in the Oval Office, he was all, yeah, man, Trump, we're going to show him Canada first. We're the Canadian people. We're fighters, man. Let's see. Does he take them lyrics to the Oval Office? We'll be talking about that in a second. Here, though, is a quick message from one of our partners, baby. 1775. What's it coming round the corner? Will it be a revolution or will it be reverse in time like little Benjamin Button himself did? Benjamin Button kept going backwards till he was little more than a sperm. Some say he did that on little more than rejuvenate by 1775. Look at that gold seal. The world is run by lunatics, sickos, mad people. Klaus Schwab, you've seen him, the new squinty-eyed one they've got. That fellow over in Canada, Mark Carnival. What a strange fella. Supply chains, strangled crops, burned by climate chaos, ascending coffee prices through the roof. Soon you won't be able to afford coffee, and we need you to be able to afford coffee. Send it to fire cutty. Blokes with clipboards who've never farmed a day in their life. Brazil's frost one year, a drought the next. Shipping bottlenecks, which is what I call my anus.
You can smell it.
Inflation, and someone at the World Bank whispering, "Let's just make it all worse." The result? Your morning cup of coffee now costs as much as a small island in Fiji that you could live in with yourself and your concubines if you were so inclined. But not 1775, you beautiful people. This coffee is very, very reasonably priced. Look at it. It will fly to you in a matter of moments if you're only willing to part with a couple of dollary dues. They've just launched the 1775 starter kit. It's like an act of civil disobedience that happens to come in a box. It's like walking down the high street with no trousers or pants on and socks and sandals, your genitals possibly in a state of arousal or possibly flaccid. That's up to you. That's the freedom 1775 will grant to you. This isn't a corporate caramel swirl, an oat milk masquerading as Jar sludge. No, this is 3 bags full of real coffee and more. A dark roast so bold it could body slam Klaus Schwab through a Davos buffet table. A medium roast, smooth and strong. Stronger than George Clooney when he's blacked up on the bonnet to play Reagan. And their mushroom blend, legal mushrooms like lion's mane, cordyceps and turkey tail. What won't make you hallucinate but will make you question your landlord, the Federal Reserve, and maybe even your own downstairs businessman that you call privates.
Johnson. Yes, sir.
You also get a milk frother that works better than most members of Congress. A black tumbler branded so boldly it gets you side-eyed by baristas and banned from brunch in San Francisco. And a gold spoon clip, a touch of elegance, reminding you that rebellion can be refined. It's $170 worth of rebellion for just $99. Now, initially, there's just 1,000 of these boxes. I've got this one. I'm keeping that for old Russ and my family There's 999 boxes and a bitch ain't one. Get yourself one of these. Use the code BRAND. Go to 1775coffee.com, use the code BRAND, and join the caffeinated resistance. It's this caffeine that keeps me free and flowing, baby, out of both ends. Nurse, get a flannel.
Which flannel have you jazzed on?
What do you want? Chemtrails? Do you want to learn about that? Zuckerberg talking about AI. I'm guessing that's on with Theovant. Tucker versus Shapiro, that ongoing battle. Do you want to see that? So, like, you can say TC versus BS, or you can say Z versus Theovant, or you can say chemtrails, or do you want me to just proceed? I mean, there's so many ways that we could bring about Armageddon in the next few weeks. There's one story here. It's like Israel, Iran, HR 867. I mean, it's so, like, many ways. I know you lot are interested in chemtrails, aren't you? What about you, Sensitive Hearts? What about you, Thomas Beard? What about you, Ashello? You want Tucker versus... Yeah, a lot of people want chemtrails, though. I want to do it because it's like, I've got a lot of politics to get through with you guys today. And at any minute, a pope could be announced. Pull up how the BBC are covering it. We pay our license fee. Let's see how they cover it and see if we can see any sarcasm. Can you find them online? Go on, Isaac. Stop counting up all that APAC money. Start working for Rumble, which is a free speech place. Yeah, the show will be live tomorrow. You get to meet my team when you watch Thursday's show. It's a fantastic little show. Before we get into that, let's do a little bit about chemtrails. Yeah, chemtrails are back, baby. Did they ever really go away, though? This story's come up because RFK has been talking about them on Dr. Phil of all places. Okay, so check this out. In my country, the United Kingdom, where plans are afoot to blast the sun out of the sky with aerosol, Monty Burns style, people are saying that Labour is officially funding chemtrail experiments. How extraordinary. This is a left-wing news site. Before you think this is some hocus pocus, it's true. UK scientists launched what they call outdoor geoengineering experiments to mimic the impact of volcanic eruptions, which are known to cool the Earth's temperature. Okay, so essentially, right there in God's domain is where these sinners plan to play. Let's have a look at RFK talking about chemtrails on Dr. Phil and Bill Maher debunking the idea of chemtrails on his show. One of the reasons that I'm as yet optimistic about the ongoing administration in your country is because it contains people like Bobby Kennedy, Tulsi Gabbard, because Trump is such a wrecking ball in imperialist bureaucracies that I can't see how improvement is not somewhat inevitable. Let me know what you think in the comments and the chat, though, and let me know if you think chemtrails are real. What is the reason for the heavy metal increase in our bloodstream, the increase of autism, etc.? You know, like maybe it's vaccines, maybe it's people are diagnosing it more frequently. That's what people say that are establishment oriented. Or perhaps there are ambient and environmental factors, the same way that we recognize our media environment shapes our consciousness and our views. Maybe our biological and biochemical environments are obviously impacted by damage, toxicity, and toxins. And yes, in the locals chat, people are posting some great chemtrail images. Post yours in the chat now. We'll stay with you for a while on X and YouTube. But as we get deeper into free speech territory, there's only one home for us. Let's get into this Bobby Kennedy conversation.
My name is Emily, and my biggest concern is the stratospheric aerosol injections that are continuously peppered on us every day. Bromium, aluminum, strontium, it's sprayed in our skies all day long. And I know you've talked to Dane Wigington about...
Did she mime the spraying there? That's pretty good.
Talked to Dane Wigington about this. He seems to be one of the experts in the field.
Is there a question?
Yes. How do we...
Yeah, I hate that when people do that, don't you? Like when it's like a long... So where's the question? You don't want to answer a question. You want to do a long description of something.
How do we stop it?
That is not happening in my agency. You know, we don't do that. It's done, we think, by DARPA, and a lot of it now is coming out of the jet fuel.
Yes,
so,
sir.
You know, those materials are put in jet fuel. I'm going to do everything in my power to stop it. We're bringing on somebody who's going to think only about that, find out who's doing it, and holding them accountable.
Yes, sir.
I think you have to be sympathetic and at least open to all but the most outrageous of conspiracy theories. Right now in the Rumble chat, people are talking about flat Earth. I always feel, what is the benefit? When you're considering a conspiracy theory, think who would benefit from it? If you look at the pandemic, for example, and numerous ideas that emerged quite early on and subsequently were proven to be true, the obvious beneficiaries were institutions of power, whether it was the media, who had increased views and facilitate big pharma advertising, big pharma themselves who increased their profits, the state, who were able to regulate with more authority when people are in a state of fear, big tech and social media sites that were able to censor more freely and legitimize their own agenda. It becomes clear that globalism and globalist organizations, whether that's the WHO, NATO, UN, because it was a peculiarly militaristic operation at heart, wasn't it? It was about control. The pandemic was about control, and any of us that are inclined to doubt what we learned during that time might recall that just a couple of years prior, they gamed out the entire thing. Now, chemtrails seems to me like it qualifies for one of my conspiracy theorist diagnostic tools. It's this. Would they do it? Yes. Would we know if they did it? No. Are they probably doing it then? Yeah, probably. See, with flat Earth, I'm like, what do you get from that? You know, what we're living in a sort of an illusion and no one knows the truth. Well, we are living in an illusion. We're living entirely with imbibed and pumped in information, almost intravenous, intraconscious information conveyed through media, ambient distractions everywhere. Unless you can tell me what the advantage is of a conspiracy theory, then I sort of don't believe in it. But if you can explain to me the advantage, I'm like, yeah, they're probably doing that. Here, though, is Bill Maher rebuking RFK's claim.
Oh, yes, Bobby Kennedy. Oh, my God, Bobby, I try so hard for you, but, Jesus Christ. Now he's saying that chemtrails are real. This has been a conspiracy theory for the longest. You know, the things that come out of the end of a plane. Yes, planes make smoke. But Bobby says we have to end this crime against humanity. Okay, you know what? The engine on a plane is hot, and the air up there is very cold. Oh, fuck it. I don't give a shit. Like, believe what you want to believe. I really, we're all going to hell in a handcart anyway, if that makes you happy.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because rationalism is to rationalize, produce, create, and convey rational lies. That's what I believe the rational, materialist, common sense world engages in primarily, using limited rationalism to explain a variety of phenomena that are way beyond its remit. Remember that, well, in a way, what you could do with Bill Maher is go, this is you talking at the beginning of the pandemic. This is you talking now. Even that time when I was on Bill Maher, do you remember that? Like, it was millions of lives were saved by the vaccines. Do you still believe that? I wonder. Let me know what you think in the comments and chat. You have to be open to chemtrails, because if there are ways to deaden our consciousness, to limit our abilities, to keep us malleable and controllable, systems that have power that extends beyond the pendular exchange between left and right, permanent government would deploy almost anything. There's nothing so dark that the devil can't conceive of it and wouldn't enact it if he was afforded the opportunity. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments and the chat. Let's get into the first. Well, we're getting into some interesting territory now. Trump and Carney have met. Actually, should we check out what's going on with the Pope? Let's check out what's going on with the Pope, and then we'll get into Trump and Carney.
With Pope Francis, basically, and he knows very well the politics around the world. Every president who went after that used to go to speak with Pietro Parolin. He knows the Curia, and he knows the Catholic Church in a global way. So that's why I think it could be.
It's a very unpresupposing chimney, isn't it? It's a very modest little thing there, just a little tube in what you might call a stereotypical racist Chinese hat. Even the seagull has had more than it can withstand. We'll keep our eye on this extraordinary process of papacy and nomination. Let's get into it. Let's do Trump meets Carney. When Carney became the leader of Canada, the globalists rejoiced. We are going to oppose Trump from across the border. He can't talk like that. He can't oppose tariffs. He can't make jokes about Governor Trudeau. We, the Canadian people, will stand strong. Now remember, Rumble was a Canadian company run by Canadians. We got nothing but love for our Canadian brothers. Let's have a look at what happened when Trump met Carney. Let's get into it together, guys. So the first thing is there's a little post about it. Mark Carney, thank you, President Trump, for inviting me to the White House. Our meeting today marks the beginning of a new relationship between Canada and the United States based on respect, built on common interests, and to the transformational benefit of both our nations. The aeroplane there performing a bond between the two of them. Trump's phallus perfectly placed, and the phallus fuselage tube for Carney just hanging a little to his left. Trump's tie pointing down. I mean, it's like actually it could be a penis. It's actually magnificently well lined up. Now, of course, Carney was a lot more truculent in his conversations or speeches with the Canadian people after election. Let's have a look.
We will need to ensure that Canada can succeed in a drastically different world. The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperations, is over.
Let's see how they got on in the Oval Office. Trump's version of ceremony may be less unusual and exotic than the border demonstrations between India and Pakistan, but these new ceremonies, these conversations that take place at the White House are revealing and intriguing, and another marker of the way that Trump conducts politics, whether it's the posting of the memes, the trash talking. These tete-a-tetes in the White House have clearly moved Zelensky somewhat. Would you agree? Let me know in the comments and chat. Zelensky's talking different now, isn't he, than before? Well, not literally, he still talks like this. Hey, come on, give us a bit more of your tax money, will you? We'll beat these bloody Ruskies. But he's a little less bellicose, isn't he, and a bit more respectful after the J.D. Vance chastisement. Let's see how this Carney and Trump deal goes. You know that Trump's got enough front that he would have a meeting with people and sort of Vince McMahon it out, wouldn't he? But will your average globalist financial WEF graduate handle mano-a-mano confrontations in the same way? Let me know.
Mark, would you like to say a few words?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I'm on the edge of my seat, actually.
I would say that screams subservience already. He's like, and by the way, I'm not sort of claiming that if I was in the Oval Office with Donald Trump, you've got to Mr. President your way through that. You've got to be double respectful. That's the President of the United States. But Mark Carney was like, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to show him. I'm going to punch him. I'm going to punch him up the nutbag, baby.
On the edge of my seat, actually, for the big announcement. But thank you for your hospitality and above all for your leadership. You're a transformational president. Focus on the economy.
That's what a black man. What a back down. What a capitulation. Well, he was like, well, the good old days are over. I'm going to tell Trump, listen, you orange-faced, bald son of a bitch, I'll punch you right up your tower. Instead of which he goes in there, I just want to say you're a transformational. That's why you can't trust them. You can't trust them on the basis of their own conduct 1 second to the next. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description. Get on over to Rumble. We've got so much more to talk about. We're going to get into Israel. I see you lot in the chat all the time. Talk about Gaza. Talk about Gaza. We'll talk about Gaza. Come on over Rumble. Join us over there where we can talk about it freely without censorship and with whatever objectivity we can summon up between us. Before that, we're going to finish talking about Trump and Carney. We'll be keeping updated on what's going on with the Pope. We'll talk about Zuckerberg and AI. Click that link. Get on over and join us. We've even got some stories about the CIA and China. But first, though, let's carry on with our Mark Carney vow.
On the economy with a relentless focus on the American worker, securing your borders, ending the scourge